Order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosbus.
Here.
Commissioner Bauer.
Here.
He's here. Here. Yeah.
Commissioner Gary.
Here.
Commissioner Lynn.
Here.
Commissioner Shimmons.
Here.
Commissioner Stefanski. Commissioner Torty.
Here.
Commissioner Stefanski called and asked to be excused tonight. Commissioner Lynn.
So move, we excuse Commissioner Stefanski.
Support.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Let's first of all talk about the cell phones. If you have a cell phone, if you would like to put that on vibrate or silence it, we certainly would appreciate it. Item number 1, a public comment on scheduled agenda items. Any person may reserve time to speak on an agenda item not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on an agenda item? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to item number 2, the consent agenda. Assistant City Manager, City Clerk.
Under the consent agenda, A, minute approval. 1, approval of the minutes of the regular City Commission meeting of December 1st. Recommended action, approve the minutes of the regular City Commission meeting of December 1st, 2014. Item 2, acceptance of the minutes of the following boards and commissions. A, Planning Commission of December 4th. B, Tax Board of Review of December 9th. Recommended action, accept the minutes of the various boards and commissions. Item B, appointments and resignations. 1, resignation from the Historical Development Commission. Recommended action, accept the resignation of Nancy Steinhaus from the Historical Development Commission for a term that expires December 31st, 2014, and send a letter of thanks for her service to the board. Item C, communications. 1, from the Sault Ste. Marie Area Public Schools, request for the city to collect the 2015 summer property taxes for the Sault Ste. Marie Area Public Schools. Recommended action, authorize the agreement for the collection of the 2015 summer property taxes for the Sault Ste. Marie Area Public Schools and authorize the City Finance Director and City Clerk to execute said agreement. And item 2 under communications is from Community Action Human Resource Authority, MDOT Project Authorization 2012-0162/P9. Recommended action, authorize the city manager and city clerk to execute MDOT Project Authorization 2012-0162/P9, fiscal year 2015, Section 5311 Operating Formula Grants for Rural Area Program.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Torty.
I so move that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosbus?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Torty.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item 3, communications. A, communication from the Michigan Liquor Control Commission regarding a resolution for the issuance of a new small winemaker's license and microbrewer license to be located at 100 West Portage Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, as requested by 1668 Winery, LLC.
Okay, thank you. Let Commissioner Bauer, you'd like to make a comment.
Yes, as owner of 1668 Winery LLC, it is a conflict of interest, and therefore I will refrain from all discussion and vote.
Okay, thank you. Is that correct, City Attorney?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lynn. Would you like to, I'm sorry, let's go to City Manager. We're moving right along here.
I didn't know I was a city manager.
Close resemblance, but...
Yeah, nice hairline. Thank you, Mayor. 1668 Winery is an LLC that has been established by Commissioner Raymond Bauer and will be located at 100 West Portage Avenue. The existing building at 100 West Portage Avenue is being renovated, and permits have been issued by the City of Sault Ste. Marie Building Department for both interior and exterior alterations. In cases where a new facility is constructed or where construction is required to address code issues in an existing building, the City Commission has in the past approved licenses with the condition that the Michigan Liquor Control Commission does not issue the license until a copy of an occupancy permit to the Liquor Control Commission certifies that all building codes and regulations have been met by the proposed businesses, and subject to the city supplying a statement at the time the occupancy permit is issued, which indicates that there are no delinquent payments due to the City of Sault Ste. Marie. By approving this conditionally, this helps to expedite the permitting process, streamlining economic development. The administration has consulted with the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, and they've indicated that this is an acceptable way for the City of Sault Ste. Marie to proceed on these types of applications. Accordingly, I'm recommending that the City Commission adopt the included resolution approving the request that has been made by 1668 Winery, LLC, for a new small winemaker's license and microbrewer license for 100 West Portage Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, subject to the following conditions. First, that the on-premise license not be issued by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission until the building department of the City of Sault Ste. Marie supplies a copy of an occupancy permit to the Liquor Control Commission, which certifies that all building codes and regulations have been met by 1668 Winery, LLC. And secondly, that the on-premise license not be issued by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission until the city supplies a statement at the same time as the occupancy permit that indicates there are no delinquent payments due to the city from 1668 Winery, LLC.
Okay, thank you. In discussion with the city attorney, those are two recommendations can be taken care of with one motion. Commissioner Lynn.
Well, since Commissioner Bauer can't speak on this item, which some of us probably think is a wonderful idea, right?
Yes.
That I'd just like to say what a great job Mr. Bauer did on that corner, taking that building that was an eyesore and turned it into something very, very nice. And could I just make the motion, city manager's recommendation?
Sure.
So moved. That'd be
Support.
Okay. I'd like to also echo those comments, and certainly we won't call him Commissioner Bauer, Mr. Bauer with the Sioux Brewery, and has made that into a very, I don't know what to say. It's just the business continues to build each year, and now expanding into a second building near the Sioux Brewery. We only wish Mr. Bauer, Ray Bauer, continued success as he goes forward. So. Anyone else? With that, we have a motion and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Boswis?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Item number 4, we are into the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. Item 4A would provide for the award of a bid for wastewater plant tank cleaning components. As outlined in the memorandum, on Friday, December 5th, 2014, one sealed bid was received for the purchase of wastewater treatment plant cleaning components. This proposal met the specifications as outlined and came in under budget. The request for bids was placed on the city's website and in the evening news. In addition to that, 4 wastewater plant equipment suppliers were also contacted to notify them of the bid request. Despite best efforts to obtain more than one quote, there was only one that was obtained from HD Supply Facilities Maintenance, USA Blue Book, at a cost of $16,997.33. Please note that in addition to this expenditure, additional miscellaneous parts would be needed to complete this work, including drive components and fasteners. It's anticipated that these additional parts would amount to less than $7,500. In conjunction with the purchase of the cleaning components, this would bring the total estimated cost for these improvements to just about $24,500. Which is just over $5,000 under the budget appropriation of $30,000 for this work. Accordingly, I'm recommending that the City Commission approve for the purchase of the wastewater plant primary tank cleaning components from HD Supply Facilities Maintenance, USA Blue Book, in the amount of $16,997.33.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bauer.
So move the commission approve for the purchase of the wastewater plant primary tank cleaning components from HD Supply Facilities Maintenance USA Blue Book in the amount of $16,997.33, being sole bidder and meeting specs.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Boswin?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Item B under the city manager's report would provide approval for rules and regulations of the use and operation of Riverside Cemetery, a municipal vault. As commissioners are well aware, a work group consisting of myself, Attorney Canello, Assistant City Manager Troyer, and Assistant DPW Director Wires, as well as Cemetery Sexton Gerke, has been working over the course of the last 3 to 4 months to conduct a thorough review of the existing rules and regulations for the use and operation of Riverside Cemetery, a municipal vault. The impetus for this review and a number of changes proposed here tonight to these rules and regulations originated with 2 specific citizen concerns that were brought to my attention regarding the types of markers permitted in the past interpretation of the existing rules that monuments, as different and distinguished from markers, are subject to a height restriction of 40 inches. Originally, the existing rules were adopted by the City Commission on October 24th, 1952, and last updated in 2011. The changes that are being proposed by the administration were closely considered and are the product of a review of over 50 distinct sets of municipal cemetery regulations. These changes were proposed to improve flexibility to users of the cemetery, to align procedures with best practices, and to promote a well-maintained and safe cemetery environment. Just to highlight some of the most perhaps prominent changes that are being proposed that are outlined in the memorandum. The first would be the inclusion of definitions in Section 1 of the revised rules for the terms burial space, cemetery lot, marker, monument, and sexton. And what I found in reviewing other rules and regulations is that the majority of them, the vast majority, have definitions that distinguish markers from monuments. The current rules don't necessarily do that. So these revised rules would establish that markers would be flush with the ground and monuments would be upright memorials. Additionally, there was language that is proposed to be included in Section 2 of the revised rules that prevent children under the age of 12 from being on cemetery grounds unless accompanied by an adult. This change is being proposed in response to several well-documented instances in which small children were unfortunately injured and or killed in cemeteries due to falling memorials. Another change being proposed is that language within the plantings and lot care section that supports the ability of staff to work in a pragmatic manner with citizens be clarified. In addition, there's a change that's being proposed to prevent the use of winter grave blankets, which is being proposed to prevent the dying grass from coming up in the spring. The use of winter grave blankets apparently, in my discussions with Mr. Wires, prevents grass from growing effectively. A few of the other changes include language in Section 6 of the revised rules that permits the sexton to remove plantings and decorations that reasonably hamper maintenance or degrade the appearance of the cemetery. And we try to be as flexible with people as possible with their decorations. This is more geared towards plantings or decorations that decompose over time or that become a significant problem and detract from everybody's enjoyment or use of the cemetery. In addition, there's proposed that language that would be included in Section 6 of the revised rules outlining when summer decorations could be placed at the cemetery, and additionally language that's proposed to be included that there shall be no height restrictions on monuments unless deemed necessary for the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare by the city manager. This is a significant change in that in the past the administration has applied the 40-inch rule that's referenced in the existing rules to both monuments and markers. In reviewing other sets of cemetery rules and regulations, it appears that approximately between 30 and 35% of cemeteries do not have height restrictions, and those that do vary between 6 inches and 6 feet based on the unique circumstances of each cemetery. Additionally proposed is the inclusion of language in Section 7 of the revised rules stating that individual markers will have width and length dimensions that are in keeping with memorial industry standards, with the exception of government-issued markers. And just to highlight 3 more of the proposed changes outlined in the memorandum, the administration is proposing the inclusion of language in Section 11 of the revised rules that states markers and monuments will not be permitted to be delivered to lots until a proper order for a foundation installation has been placed with the sexton. This is geared towards preventing situations in which monuments simply show up and the staff doesn't have time to respond to that. The administration is also proposing the addition of Section 24 to provide for the escheat of cemetery lots and/or burial spaces. Right now, the administration is also reviewing all this, though this isn't a part of this proposed item, a reclamation process to address the numerous lots that over a period of time have not been used, a significant period of time. And lastly, to highlight the proposed changes would be the addition of Section 27 to provide for an appeals process in the administration of these rules and regulations, so that if anybody feels like there has been a conflict in the interpretation or there should be some type of dispensation for a minor deviance from the rules for extraordinary or unusual circumstances, there would be a mechanism for administration to consider that. The proposed revised rules and regulations have been satisfactorily reviewed by City Attorney Steve Cannella, who has found no legal issues with these. And accordingly, there are two separate courses of action that could be taken in regards to this agenda item. The first would be that input would be solicited from commissioners regarding the content of the proposed changes, and it be referred back to the administration for further drafting, or secondarily that the proposed rules and regulations as revised would be adopted as presented. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Tuardi?
Yep. First, I just want to say thank you to the city manager, because this was a citizen concern that came to me like, well, when it was really warm, so a long time ago. And I thank you for your due diligence and just like researching this and really making these changes, so I appreciate that. So that being said, I move that City Commission move the amended rules and regulations for use and operation of Riverside Cemetery and Municipal Vault as presented.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions, Commissioner Bauer?
Maybe just a comment, possibly a question. Before the arrival of the present city manager, I will say that I had several complaints over a period of time of when things are left at grave sites, etc., and then they're removed and people go back and they're not there anymore and they wonder what happened to them and everything, and they were dissatisfied with the answers they were getting. And I totally understand, you know what I mean, that we have to keep, that we can't, hand manicure and go around every single plot, you know what I mean, and that Mr. Gerke has a tough job to do in keeping up on all that, and but in his trying to do an effective job, I guess sometimes things have to be removed, and then the people who are involved with that are unhappy with that, and we have to be extremely sensitive as a group to the fact that this is a real emotional hot button issue with some people, maybe not many people, but the people who are affected by it are affected profoundly. You know what I'm saying? That they get very, very sensitive and very emotional about it. And as I take a look at as we're changing the language and revising the rules outlining when summer decorations may be placed at the cemetery, let's say you get somebody who comes in from out of town, their mother's buried here, all right, and then they put something in and it doesn't conform because they didn't bother reading the rules, right? Or they didn't know, that it wasn't time yet or whatever, because a lot of people move away and then come back, right? I just see some potential here for hard feelings akin to what I've seen in the in the past, in the recent past, like maybe not this year, but last year and the year before, because yeah, it wasn't this year, so we didn't really have those, Now, I'm actually gonna vote in favor of this, because I trust the people who put this together, and in what they're doing. But I just wanted to make this statement that we really have to be hypersensitive to some of these people's situation, because dealing with the death of a loved one, I mean, it's very, very difficult, as we all know. So, in certain situations, when people come to me, I'm at a loss. I don't know what to say. I'll talk to the city manager. That doesn't really, that doesn't satisfy a whole lot of people in that situation, if you know what I'm saying. They don't want to hear it.
Yeah. No, those are excellent points, and there's no question. I had just a couple of calls this past summer with headstones that had sunk a little bit, and a call to the city manager, and Mr. Gerke took care of those to their satisfaction. And I oftentimes will keep my weed whacker in the vehicle, and we'll go around places that I know, because it's very difficult, especially if it's raining and grass grows, as we all know, faster than we'd like at times. And they try, I know depending on how wet it is out there, last year was certainly, I thought it was done very well. The years before that, remember, we had those rain events that were 3 inches at a time, 3 times a year, and it's hard to get around. Very soft areas with any kind of heavy equipment, like a lawnmower could be pretty heavy in some of those situations. So at times, I guess we just ask for the understanding that if it's something we can do, I think the staff tries to take care of it. When you talk of family members coming back and putting something on the grave that maybe deteriorates over time, and after several months and something's not watered, I've seen where it's been live flowers that don't get watered will turn pretty much over time, as we all know, not very appealing, and those are staying on for a long period of time before they're removed. So I don't think anyone is going out and taking something that is appealing off of a particular grave, but that doesn't normally happen until fall cleanup, when we start getting ready for winter. Then I noticed a lot of notices in the media about employees, your last chance to go on and get whatever you need to get, because if you don't, then those things are going to be picked up. But I think this past year has gone very well, and the amount of work that has gone into this, as a lot of the commissioners have mentioned, is certainly worthy of note, and we appreciate as a commission. We know we get the calls, we in turn review it to get a hold of staff, so just being understanding, I think, of what Commissioner Bauer is talking about. I think those are important words. Okay. Anyone else? We have a motion in support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Boswell?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Item C under the city manager's report would provide authorization to apply for a coastal zone management program grant for city-owned waterfront properties. And I've requested that our community development director, Linda Basista, address the commission tonight regarding the subject matter.
Okay.
Thank you, Linda.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Evening.
This is a request to apply for the Coastal Zone Management Program through the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, the Office of the Great Lakes. They provide funds through to coastal communities and partners to assist in development of vibrant and resilient coastal communities. And this particular grant is, they get funding from various sources, but this particular grant that we would be applying for would be funding through the NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. We're proposing to submit an application in order to do a study, a redevelopment, for the redevelopment and management of the Carbide Dock, including Alfred Park, and Harvey Marina, which is becoming pretty much obsolete, and any other city-owned waterfront property that we could study as part of this grant, with the main focus too on redevelopment of the Carbide dock and what is needed to redevelop the Carbide dock, meaning we really have issues there with the shoreline erosion. And so the grant would also cover the cost of doing a structural feasibility analysis of what we need to do that shoreline stabilization. Also hope that through this process, which would also include including the public to get input on what the redevelopment facets might look like. We would use social media and encourage a diverse and creative input sessions that would be like a charrette that was done with Maloney's Alley. So the grant would cover the cost of all this. And as you may know, we have in the, well, you will get the 6-year capital improvement plan at your first meeting in January. And one of the high priorities for the Carbide dock is to do that feasibility analysis for the shoreline erosion protection. And the proposal is to budget for the upcoming fiscal year $30,000 for the Carbide dock analysis. That analysis would then be used as application for a waterways grant to actually do the shoreline stabilization. So the applying for this grant, we would propose that the $30,000 that we were already proposing to budget for the Carbide dock would be the 50-50 match towards this coastal zone management grant. So we would put in an application for $60,000. It's a 50-50 match for this grant. So tonight you would be, if approving our grant application, you would also be committing to the 30% or the 50-50 match, which would be $30,000, which we would put in the upcoming fiscal year 15-16 budget. We would hear in August if we receive the coastal zone management grant, and if not, we would still have the $30,000 budgeted for the Carbide dock.
Any questions of our city engineer? Thank you, Linda. Commissioner Gary.
I'd make a motion to approve the presented resolution that supports the submission of a CZM program grant application in the amount of $60,000 with a 50% $30,000 local match commitment in support of the presented activities.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any further questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bosbus?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
yes,
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Item D under the city manager's report would provide for the city commission to make a motion pursuant to the Open Meetings Act of the state of Michigan to go into closed session regarding the negotiation of collective bargaining agreements.
Okay, are we, that's at the conclusion of the meeting?
Right, at the conclusion
Okay.
of the meeting. Thank you,
Okay.
Mayor.
Commissioner Lynn.
So move the city manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosbus?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
yes,
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Mayor, move into the status report section. Item A under the status reports pertains to a report on construction projects for the 2014 construction season. And welcome Ms. Basista back to the podium.
I so move we accept the report and place it on file.
No, yeah, no.
I think I did that to the city manager one.
Not so fast.
I didn't hear a second to that motion, so I assume that means I need to proceed?
Yeah.
Okay. I will keep it brief, however. This year, in the summer of 2014 construction season, there was approximately $5.4 million worth of infrastructure improvements executed in the city on behalf, either by the city project or by others on behalf of the city. So I will go over those projects briefly. We did reconstruct Library Drive from Ashman to Court, and then around the curve, the Court Street between Library Drive and Dawson. That included complete reconstruction of base, curb and gutter, some drainage improvements, but it also included a sewer replacement that was needed on an old sanitary sewer. I think that in the end, we had some challenges with the grades at the library, but in the end, I think it ended up being a very attractive and functional project. We were able to add sidewalks on both sides of the street, and I think the library at the curve there is prominently
Very nice.
displayed now. So
Mhm.
I think that was a successful project. It was done on time and under budget, so we'll be turning back some money back to the funds from which the money came from. Same thing with Hursley Street, is total reconstruction. That also had water main reconstructed, sewer, curb and gutter, sidewalks on both sides. There were sidewalks previously, but they didn't go all the way through for whatever reason, so we completed that. And that was also completed on time and under budget, so we had success for those two projects. Those were done by Norris Contracting. We resurfaced West Spruce. That was a grant through the Michigan Transportation Economic Development Fund as a Category F grant, meaning and those funds are intended to maintain and preserve or strengthen the truck routes for purposes of keeping economic development functioning. That was a resurfacing project. Part of it was milled, part of it was just overlaid. And that was done by Payne and Dolan. And that was done quickly, and I would just say that it was well done, but their asphalt prices were so good that I asked them to turn the corner and overlay Fort Street, which was very much in
Yeah.
need of something, and hope to get a few more years out of that street before we have to reconstruct it. So the next time we do something to that street, it will be a reconstruct, but in the
Good.
meantime, we spent $8,000 just to get some more life out of
Let
it.
me just mention that you brought Fort Street up, and I had a surprising number of people that actually were aware of that and called to thank us for doing Fort Street, which has really helped that street, and for the 8,000, it goes all the way to the Ridge.
Yeah, Ridge
Which
to
completes that whole
Spruce.
loop, and, it was a
Yeah.
one-way street at one time, and only, now it's two-lane, and it doesn't get a lot of traffic, that's for sure, but it's a nice piece that if you're going to the, down toward the locks, it's a nice way to go, and then you come by the, what's that building called there by the border station? ICE building?
Nice building.
Immigration Customs Enforcement building too, so, and then up to Magazine and now over to Portage, so it's a nice, really cleaned up that whole area along
Makes a
there.
nice connection to the
Yes.
Fort Street Bridge,
Yep.
which sees more traffic because of the
Mhm.
Fort Street Bridge when that got replaced. And I would just say that, that was just a real quick decision to go ahead and do that. And so our DPW was right there Payne and Dolan just said, we'll do the resurfacing, but so DPW had to do the cleanup of the street, sweeping and adjust the structures, adjust the valves and so forth. So as soon as I asked them, they were right out there doing it, and so we got it done, and it was very successful, low cost. This Sioux Tribe is actually reconstructing Shawano Drive and the associated drives with Shawano, which include Oshawan, and I'm not going to get these names right, Bawading, Mukwa, Omang, Chichuk, and Migisa courts. Those are streets that were done in the development with the housing project. They had very deep drainage ditches, and it looked like a wetlands out there when you go by and see the ditches. But the project included total reconstruct, filling in the ditches, putting in storm sewer, sidewalks on both sides of the street. That was substantially completed just in time, I think a few days before the snow fell. So that was about a $1.5 million project. They'll be back in the spring to do the restoration on that. Earlier, we did the I-75 Business Spur maintenance paving. Again, Payne and Dolan was a contractor on that. That was a subcontract through our trunk line maintenance contract with MDOT. We hope it gives us some more life to the business spur, but unfortunately, I'm afraid we're going to see that probably breaking up in the spring. But that was 100% funded by MDOT, and hopefully it won't break up, but we'll see how it goes next spring. You'll get your presentation on the Puller Community Building renovations, so I won't go into too much detail on that, but I would say it's substantially completed, and now we're looking at just few more punch list items, adding some things that we think need to be done by at the approval of the fundraising committee and so forth. And next phase will be to look at and consider a smaller addition, much reduced size based on from eliminating the addition from this current project. But the Puller looks really good from that. The last, another major project was the water main extension for the Old Name Housing Project. That was also done by Sioux Tribe, and that was finished. The water department is preparing to put that online for the tribe to take over supplying water to the housing department, or to the housing development down there on Seymour, probably in January. We've got some work to do with the tribe. They need to prepare their residents to see a different billing, and our guys need to be ready to take that over. But the water main is done, substantially completed in the fall. We also did the parking structure repairs, T-to-T joint repairs, which, by the way, the last winter really did a number on the parking structure. There were a lot more concrete repairs that we needed to do besides just the seals. So we started on the 4th floor, worked our way down to the 3rd floor, and did as much as we could based on the budget, and then we'll need to come back and finish some up. So we had to divert, as part of that project, some of the funds that would have replaced some of the sealants and caulking on the lower floors to the upper floors to get some of the concrete repairs done. But Meridian Restoration was the contractor on that. They did an excellent job, and I hope we'll see them again in the future, because they know what they're doing with respect to doing parking structure repairs. And finally, we did Sherman Park Beach restoration was completed this summer. That was through a grant that the Chippewa County Health Department received. That was a Great Lakes Restoration Initiative project. The Health Department administered the contract and the design, but I would say the city played a very huge part in that, and our DPW did all of the grading on the beach. The contractor, as part of their contract, just supplied the sand. The DPW did the grading of it. The DPW did the excavation and shaping of the rain gardens. The contractor just simply planted the rain gardens. So the hired contractor through the health department had a much smaller piece than I think what our DPW did. So while the health department did obtain the grant, our DPW did a great job with doing a majority of the work out there. So hopefully what we'll see is less erosion because of the dune grasses that were planted, and less erosion because the first flush of the rainfalls will go through the rain gardens, and so less erosion, cleaner water was the goal of that project. So that concludes my report. That was a big mix of projects for the 2014 construction season.
Any question? Commissioner Bauer.
Yeah, I have one question. Of the $5.4 million worth of work that was done, because we had a lot of donations for the Puller, of course, and then MDOT kicking in and the tribe kicking in here and various grants, how much money did the city actually spend on those capital projects? Total.
She's adding up.
Probably, small amount of that, a small
We have
percentage.
one- I know we have
Probably more like
1.2.
10%
Yeah.
of that was,
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah. Mhm.
Anyone else? Well, thank you very much. It was a busy year. And we always like to be busy, right?
Yep.
Great. Good job. Thank you. See you, man.
Well, I was just going to comment that the city engineer's plate was very full this summer, and her and her staff did an excellent job in conjunction with our other departments, DPW, Streets, Parks and Rec, Finance.
Great.
Everybody did a great job. Item B, under the status reports, pertains to the Puller fundraising update. And at this time, there's been a total of $326,338.64 pledged. Of that, $162,043.67 has been cash. And of the total project costs, there have been a total of revenues in the amount of $1,575,970 and total project expenses of $1,423,926. So right now, as Ms. Basista indicated, we are working with UP engineers on the conceptualization of the addition at the Puller. The estimated cost is $260,000, and that is for an approximately a building that's about 42 by 28 for the Zamboni and the dump
28
area.
feet wide, 42 feet long? Is that what you said?
Right.
Okay, on the west side of the building?
On the west
Okay.
side of the building.
Okay, and that'll house a Zamboni and a workspace for the, what they call it, shop area, and a bathroom for the employees,
Right. There's a bathroom
roughly?
in there as well.
Okay. The committee continues to fundraise, so we have approximately how much going forward of the 260?
Of the 260 total, right now, that looks like there's about, let's see,
150, 140,000?
145,
Okay.
444.
Okay,
So
in the black,
it's right on the
so,
money.
yeah.
Mayoral math was
It's close, I
excellent.
mean, yeah. We're just estimating, but we continue to fundraise, and there are still opportunities for naming opportunities in the Puller, and we certainly like to, again, thank those that have been involved in making this project happen. Certainly without our staff and the citizens that have stepped forward to help fund the Puller, we certainly appreciate it going forward. As we know, it was 75 years old this year, and we'll be dedicating the building sometime in the early or late winter, I would think, somewhere between March, February and March type of thing. We're working on some ideas right now, so those will be coming forth fairly soon after the first of the year, and to talk about that, what we want to do. So again, thank you very much for your cooperation and digging into your pockets and donating. Former Marilyn, do you have any, Commissioner Lynn, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
I was the city manager.
Yeah.
No, people have really stepped forward. And it's not done yet. I mean, there's still people want to give that haven't yet. We are counting on to finish the project, but everybody should be very proud of those people that have gave. And it's fantastic. Saved an old building.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay,
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Item C under status report is an update regarding the upcoming Light Up the Sioux event. The Light Up the Sioux Committee, which has been working very hard, is encouraging residents to decorate their yards and homes with lights. Homeowners that participate in the Light Up the Sioux event will have a chance to win prizes merely by submitting the attached form. It's not a competition of who has the best, it's just sending in the form, like people know that you're participating. And prize winners will be drawn at random at the end of the Light Up the Sioux event on January 6th. Additionally, as was the case last year, the Tower of History will be open. We'll give the residents of the city and all of our guests the ability to look at the lights from 210 feet in the air. The tower will be open between Friday, December 20th and Wednesday, December 31st. And that's from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the exception is that the tower will, of course, be closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. The cost for an adult is $4. The cost for a child is $2, and that is defined as being between 6 and 18 years old. Children under 5 and children age 5 are free, and family admission is $10. However, small children must be accompanied by an adult. Looking forward to the event and think it'll be very exciting, Mayor.
Great. Commissioner Bauer, do you have any comments?
Yeah. There were several reasons why this event was developed to begin with, and one was to possibly bring some tourism to the zoo in the winter that we, maybe have been missing out on. And part of that strategy was advertising externally, that is down below the bridge, and we put together a promotional package that'll be airing on TV 9 and 10. 9 and 10 will be up for their Festival Friday this week, and that's always good publicity, right? But if there are any business owners out there who would like to become a part of that package, then I would strongly suggest that they call Lori Morley, and because the more ads we get out there promoting this event down below the bridge, then possibly the more people we can drive up here, whether they're staying in motels or at the, go to the restaurants or whatever they're doing while they're up here. But last year we had 222 people go up in the tower, which was nice. Most of them were local. Even if you went up last year, if you went up last year, then I would hope you would do it again, because it's a once-a-year thing, and you know how nice it is if you've been up there before. If you haven't been up there in the wintertime, you owe it to yourself, and take your kids, or if you have a young person in your life, they'd really enjoy it, because it's really beautiful from up there. There's nothing like it. I mean, it's been this long since we've opened up the Tower of History at this time of year, and it made me feel good when I was up there. It's really nice. So
220
please take
feet,
advantage of that.
220 feet plus in air.
Yeah.
And that night is the 19th?
Yeah, it starts on the 19th and runs through the end of the year, with the exception of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
And it was at 5 o'clock on the 19th?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. That's the start. And then,
So the start is
Yeah.
this Friday night, 5 o'clock is the beginning.
Excellent. Thank you. Anything else?
The only other thing I would add is that we do have the forms for registering on the city website, if anybody would like to access
Okay.
the forms there.
And Lori, that you mentioned, do you have a number for her, or?
If you give me a second, I can turn my phone back on. I can look it up by the end of the meeting, but that's about.
Okay, you have commissioner comments coming back here, so you can, if you have your phone with you?
Sure.
You can-
Yeah, I do.
You might want to give them that number, so that if people are listening and want to get a hold of her, it'd be good.
City manager, is this legal for me to do this, for me to access the internet during?
I believe it's legal as long as you're not communicating with the majority of commission members.
All right.
We'll give you a minute.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. Does that conclude your report?
It does. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we'll go to item number 6. Matters presented by the public. Is there anyone here in the audience who'd like to make a comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to item number 7, matters presented by the commission. And before we adjourn, just let me wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a very prosperous New Year on behalf of the commission administrative staff and the city employees. Certainly another year just whistled by. And we're not going to call them new anymore, but our manager, 6 months into the job, almost 7 months now into the job, doing an excellent job, and looking forward to going forward in the new year, 2015.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yeah, I do have the number.
Great.
So there you go. The number for Lori Morley is 632-4503.
4503,
4503.
632-4503.
Great.
My New Year's resolution for 2015 is to go to the eye doctor and get glasses that work. And one other comment is, I think the city manager's new until he fulfills an entire year. Yeah. It's a honeymoon period, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's say, everything's been great so far, right? We're all in
Yep.
agreement. But if he makes a mistake over the next couple of months, he can say, well, I'm new. I've been through that before.
Yeah.
Sorry. You've got that. We'll give you that.
We'll give you
I
one. yeah.
appreciate the extra 6 months.
Yeah.
Sure.
Commissioner Tuardi.
Thank you. I believe this is our first meeting since the Madrigal.
Oh,
And
exactly.
I just wanted to make a comment. First of all, I think our mayor did a wonderful job. He looked
Thank
great
you.
up there. And also, it was really fun to see our city manager get thrown into Fork Jail. So that's always fun to be had. But even though we have so much fun, and it is a great time, the bigger picture is that we have, in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, self-funded our hospice house. And so that's something that we should be really, really proud of. And not only did we build it, but we continue to fund that every year. And so I think it's really great to see how many people come out and support that cause. Because, excuse me, I know it gets really emotional because when you see all the people that go through there and really utilize what hospice gives to the community, it's really, really, really important. So just wanted to mention that.
And it was very nice to have a city table that I think it's the first time we've had such a thing, and it's just something that I think we can do. Table of 8, I think it was, and we can get to 10, but we'll try and continue that tradition going forward, and I think it's just really nice that the city can be involved and help participate, and we all know what hospice does and continues to do in our community, and wish them and many other good organizations that we have that make the Sioux what it is, excellent year going forward. So, anyone else? Commissioner, I'm sorry, hang on. Commissioner Chimmons.
I wanted to thank Jim Morrow and the Department of Public Works. I'm told that you were out picking up leaves from the ditches.
Trying,
So
yeah.
thank you.
Excellent. Commissioner Lynn?
My turn?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would so move that we adjourn this meeting and that we do not meet till next year.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.
Hey, where's the city manager?